The Path to Wholeness. Carl Jung's philosophy on the search for the self. Who are you when all the masks are removed? A human being is a multi-layered entity, composed not only of thoughts, emotions, and memories, but also of unconscious depths that govern them from the shadows. Carl Gustav Jung, one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century, asserted that we rarely recognize who we truly are. We create images, play roles, but seldom encounter our authentic self. Jung called this process individuation, a journey toward wholeness, where we integrate all aspects of our being. It is not an easy path. It requires courage, as we must confront what is hidden in the shadow of our consciousness. Persona, the mask that hides the true self. From childhood, we are told who we should be. We absorb the expectations of others as if putting on theatrical masks. Jung called this layer of our personality the persona, the facade we present to the world. But who are we if we strip away this layer? What remains when we remove social labels and step beyond the roles we've learned to uphold? Many fear answering this question because it leads to the unknown, the shadow, facing the rejected self. Everything we refuse to accept within ourselves, our fears, desires, and instincts, is cast into the shadow. But the shadow does not disappear. It reveals itself in what irritates us in others, in unexplained emotions and impulses. What is not made conscious appears as fate, Jung wrote. Until we acknowledge our shadow, it will control us from the outside. Perhaps you judge aggression in others because you fear your own strength, or you despise weakness because you cannot accept vulnerability within yourself. Jungian psychology offers a method for recognizing the shadow. Observe which qualities in people provoke the strongest emotional reactions in you. These are mirrors reflecting the parts of yourself you have not yet acknowledged. The dialogue of the inner world. Jung believed that within every man lives the anima, his unconscious feminine side, and within every woman, the animus, her unconscious masculine essence. These hidden aspects influence our relationships, emotions, and worldview. A man who rejects his anima may be emotionally closed, unable to form deep connections. A woman unaware of her animus may fear her own strength and rational intellect. When these aspects are integrated, a person becomes whole. A man gains emotional depth while a woman finds inner confidence. Self-awareness is a dialogue with the aspects of ourselves that we are used to ignoring. The higher self. What lies beyond the ego? If we recognize our persona, embrace our shadow, and integrate the anima and animus, what remains? Jung called this wholeness the higher self, something beyond personal narratives and social roles. The higher self does not seek recognition. It simply is. It is the state where you no longer try to conform, no longer run from yourself, no longer fight against what is within you. It is a state of presence, where the division between the conscious and unconscious disappears. The higher self cannot be found. It can only be remembered. We do not create ourselves. We return to ourselves. How to attain wholeness? Jung did not offer simple answers. He believed that self-discovery is a lifelong process, but there are key steps. Step 1. Observe your shadow. Which qualities in others trigger strong reactions in you? Step 2. Separate yourself from the persona. Who are you without your social roles? Step 3. Embrace your opposite. Recognize your anima or animus. Step 4. Listen to your dreams and intuition. The unconscious is always speaking to you. 5. Trust the process. Self-discovery does not follow a schedule, but every step brings you closer to wholeness. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." But what does it mean to be whole? It means to stop seeking yourself externally and realize that you have always been yourself. The illusion of the external search. We spend much of our lives searching for something, a purpose, a meaning, a sense of self. We look for answers in books, in relationships, in achievements, hoping that something outside of us will finally confirm who we are. But the paradox of self-discovery is this: the more desperately we seek ourselves in the external world, the further we drift from the truth. Jung believed that the journey to wholeness is not about adding something new, but about removing the illusions that keep us from seeing who we have always been. The mind is filled with borrowed ideas, inherited fears, and cultural conditioning. We define ourselves through these external layers, mistaking them for identity. But if you are everything you've been told you should be, where are you in all of this? To find yourself is to let go of everything that is not you, not to become, but to unbecome. To shed the masks, the expectations, the roles, and to sit in silence with the essence that remains. This is why the path inward feels so unsettling. It is not about adding, but about dissolving. And the ego resists dissolution, because it fears its own impermanence. The fear of emptiness. Many hesitate to embark on the inner journey because they fear what they might find. Or worse, they fear they might find nothing at all. We are taught that to be someone, we must be filled with knowledge, with status, with personality, with stories. Emptiness is seen as something to be avoided, as if it signals a lack of worth. But what if emptiness is not the absence of something, but the space in which truth reveals itself? The Buddhists speak of sunyata, the great void, not as a negation, but as the source of all existence. The mind craves definitions, but the self is beyond definition. To sit with your own emptiness and not run from it, that is one of the most difficult and profound acts of self-discovery. Perhaps you are not lost. Perhaps you are simply afraid of the silence that comes when you stop running from yourself. Integration, the dance of light and shadow. To truly know oneself, one must hold both the light and the dark without rejecting either. Many spiritual teachings focus on the pursuit of enlightenment, of transcending suffering, of reaching a state of purity. But wholeness is not about escaping darkness. It is about integrating it. Your fears, your wounds, your suppressed desires, they are not mistakes. They are teachers. The parts of you that you have disowned are not meant to be exiled, they are meant to be reclaimed. To become whole is not to erase the shadow, but to stand in the middle of it with awareness. The moon is not afraid of the night. It shines not by resisting the darkness, but by embracing it. Returning to yourself. If self-discovery is not about seeking, not about adding, not about escaping, then what is it? It is remembering. It is returning to the part of you that has always been there, beneath the noise, beneath the conditioning, beneath the fear. The child who once knew how to be without questioning their worth. The presence that exists before thought. The observer that watches silently, unchanging. You are not a puzzle to be solved. You are not something unfinished that needs to be completed. You are already whole. You are enough. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.